No spin, no bias, no censorship. I'm Dan Wootton. This is Outspoken Live episode number 252. And breaking today, an extraordinary heated war of words has broken out between Child Safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips, another epic Labour cover-up merchant, and Tommy Robinson over the rape gang scandal.
When people like Tommy Robinson go out and talk about these cases, they make it less likely people will be convicted.
Yeah.
Justice is complicated. Keeping people safe isn't just saying the hardest thing, it is a complex fabric.
Now, Tommy has responded he's not holding back, calling Jess Phillips a low IQ, dumb bitch, just as a new campaign is launched to award the political prisoner activist an unlikely Pride of Britain gong from Carol Vorderman as he launches his campaign against Labour.
Labour have been in bed with these gangs. They're part of it. The UK is not a place of safety for me. We're going after Labour. That's how I'm punching back against these fuckers. I'm going to expose.
So I'm going to reveal all in the biggest scandal in British history in my digest next. Then my superstar panel weigh-in. Two young and brilliant growing YouTube forces are here today. Syntyche Djunga, who we know as Based and Bougie, and Stef the Alter Nerd. Also coming up on the show today, the broke and dangerous Notting Hill Carnival, an atrocity under Labour's failed Mayor Sadiq Khan, must now be axed to avoid another Hillsborough as pathetic organisers beg the government for more money to see Londoners killed at the out-of-control event. Hell no, Khan. Harry Potter narrator Stephen Fry is the latest star of the novels to turn on its creator JK Rowling, calling his former friend a lost cause who has apparently been captured by TERFs. We're going to explain why the so-called national treasure is anything but for attacking the women's rights campaigner. And Meghan Markle in crisis over the growing storm of allegations surrounding Princess Lilibet's godfather Tyler Perry, and so much more. We will have the latest. Then in the uncancelled after show on Substack, the shocking reason Prince Harry has changed his mind and allow his children to be pimped out on social media for commercial reasons has been revealed. And trust me, this is going to horrify King Charles, so we're going to reveal all with royal YouTuber P. Diney. You can sign up to watch now, www.outspoken.live. It is also our last Greatest Britain and Union Jackass of the week. What we'll do at the end of the show is take the three Union Jackasses we've had from Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, because I wasn't here live on Monday, of course, and we'll put them head to head to be named the worst Britain in the world this week. But here are your nominees for today. Lorraine Kelly, nominated by Loose 8HH for just being the most unlikable, unpleasant woman, and her shite television program where she pretends to like her guests. I was there for 10 years. Do you think she was pretending to like me, Luce? Maybe. Stella Creasy, nominated by Big Mama Booth for the patronising, snide remarks regarding abortion limits and the fact that she won't allow replies on her posts on X. Coward much. And Prince Harry, nominated by It's Only Me 44, that ginger idiot, for saying that Ukraine could host the next Invictus Games. Good luck with that one. Okay, so get voting. You can do so in the YouTube live chat. Let me know your comments. I'll read out the best at the end of the show, so do stick with us. Big day. Let's go. If Labour thought its reluctant and belated decision to accept the results of the KC report and launch a national inquiry into the Pakistani Muslim rape gang cover-up was going to get them off the hook, then they've got another thing coming. Because all of a sudden, the truth-tellers on this scandal from the beginning are empowered. And the public are no longer believing lies from politicians, the Labour establishment and the corrupted mainstream media that these people are somehow bad actors using a tragic situation to sow discontent. That was always bullshit. But now you've been exposed and the consequences are coming. Especially from Tommy Robinson, who has today taunted Slippery Starmer's party by vowing, "You will be having nightmares about me, Labour." He's taking down the worst offenders in the cover-up one by one, starting with the truly evil and I don't use that word lightly, truly evil Jess Phillips, the Safeguarding Minister for Children, who is currently trying to rewrite history, all while disgustingly attempting to put the blame on Tommy.
When people like Tommy Robinson go out and talk about these cases, they make it less likely people will be convicted.
Yeah.
Justice is complicated. Keeping people safe isn't just saying the hardest thing, it is a complex fabric. And when you're not hearing things you think are happening, half of them won't be happening. And believe you me, I've seen behind the curtain. Cock up is much more likely than conspiracy. The idea that we could fake the moon landing, we can't get a drop curve put in. Honestly, I absolutely love any conspiracy theory. I'm like that. Really, these guys? Yeah. Have you met them?
And you believe they'd be able to lie about it?
I am just like, this is. You have wildly overestimated the ability of these people.
Oh, it's all just such a laugh, isn't it, Jess? Such a laugh. And of course it's all Tommy's fault. Well, look, he's not taking this anymore. He responded. Low IQ dumb bitch behaves like low IQ dumb bitch. Of course, Britain's biggest misandrist, that's what I call Jess Phillips, is now trying to blame this not just on Tommy, but all men. All of us men, especially the white men who she so despises. As Basil the Great put it, I actually despise Jess Phillips. She helped cover this up for years, and now she's been dragged to this point where she can't deny that Pakistanis are doing this. She instead decides to have a swipe at all men. She blocked the Oldham inquiry. She should be in the dock. So watch this despicable piece of political spin, which was, of course, on Sly News.
Is misogyny.
Of course,
the
they're all men, aren't they? That's the other characteristic that all of these abusers have. And people think that all people of Pakistani origin are abusers, and some people think that none of them are. Thinking has got us nowhere. What Baroness Kate, what the ICSA recommendation was that we needed better ethnicity data. We still don't have it. What Baroness Casey has recommended, which we will undertake, is the mandatory recording of ethnicity of perpetrators of child sexual abuse. What she has looked at, admittedly, just in 3 police force areas in the review, found an overrepresentation of Asian or British Pakistani origin males. It doesn't matter how I feel about that. Those are the facts. And if we ignore that, how can we ever come up with solutions?
It feels like at the heart of this is misogyny.
Of course, they're all men, aren't they? That's the other characteristic that all of these abusers have.
And this belief that the girls were, the children, were worthless.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, I think that sometimes in the debate about the ethnicity, which it has been, that's not new news. This has been written in many reviews over the years. It's just nothing has ever been done about it to improve the data.
All men. Don't, just forget the fact that we're dealing specifically with an issue with Pakistani Muslim men, because Jess Phillips, who nearly lost her seat to a Muslim extremist, just wants to blame all men. Well, Tommy Robinson will tonight, in an explosive interview with my friend Liam Tufts, promise to crush Labour, even as he expects to return to jail within months.
I didn't know if I'd make it out of jail. Mentally right, broken, dead. Who knew? The Syrian refugee didn't want me prosecuted. His lawyers didn't want me prosecuted. The government prosecuted me. Axel Rudakabana's in that cell there. He's on the wing. He's not on solitary confinement. Michael Adebolajo wasn't on solitary confinement. None of them are on solitary confinement. None of them. They bring me to a separation unit, which was built for the jihadists. It's got the best of everything. The cells were like travel lodge rooms. They have a wardrobe, a lovely bed. They have a full kitchen, and I mean a kitchen. Air fryer, toaster, sandwich maker, full-size fridge, full-size freezer for all their food, pool table. I wasn't allowed to use any of this. There was a prisoner who was beheaded on the yard Ukrainian prisoner. They took his head off. So if the staff upset in any way the Muslim Brothers, then they just put a hit on that member of staff. Since my activism started in 2009, there's not been one single point I haven't faced prosecution. Not one. People who have concern for Great Britain have been made to feel like they're isolated, like they're a fringe voice. We're the mainstream. There's a war going on in our country as they continue to flood our nation. It's all of our freedoms that are at risk here. I don't know an only white community because I'm from Luton Town. So most people I love are not white. You don't get benefits from more than 2 kids. Nigel's now scrapping that. My local imam's got 14 children with 3 wives and we pay for every one of them. Labour have been in bed with these gangs. They're part of it. The UK is not a place of safety for me. I'm going after Labour. That's how I'm punching back against these fuckers. I'm going to expose every one of them.
Oh, that is going to be must watch. That is going to be must watch. But I have to say, there is so much revisionist history going on. So sometimes what I want to do is remind you of the behaviour, the despicable, the shocking, undermining behaviour of the MSM, especially the British Bashing Corporation, to those who were brave enough to raise their heads above the parapet and simply tell the truth. It's sickening to see it. Case in point, James Dalrymple being completely monstered on the BBC for spitting facts which are now completely accepted by this corrupted government.
Yeah. James, so is this a cultural problem in this country?
I don't think that there is a so-called rape culture. I think it's a very emotive phrase. I think most men know that no means no. I don't think that we've become more of a rapey society. But I think one of the points you made, you referred, I think, to the grooming gangs in Rochdale and in Rotherham, and it's not just in the north. It's in Telford, in Norfolk. It's happened. We've got these organised gangs, mostly of Muslim origin. I think we need to. It's a fact.
It is also a fact that a majority.
Let me finish. Thank you very much. You outrageous.
You
outrageous interruption.
Okay, let him finish and then come back in.
I'm not spreading lies.
I'm just telling you what the member of that audience are actually. They are screaming at you.
Why don't you
that
read
girl
the
is screaming
newspapers?
at you.
If you look at the names
let him finish
that have come up in the court cases, you will find that most of them are of Kashmiri, Pakistani origin.
Nullifer.
And
no, that's Nullifer now, please.
You talk about rape culture. It's a very pretty state of affairs when the police and the social workers would not deal with this problem because they were too embarrassed about being called racist.
You're turning a question about sexual violence into one about religion. First point. Second point.
Talking about massive.
Can I just finish? Second point. You and I know, James, that a majority of rapes and sexual violence perpetrated in this country is done by white Caucasian people. We know this. I want to finish.
Shame on you all. Shame on the BBC. Shame at everyone who was heckling James Dalrymple then and then saw him thrust out of polite society. But what is so shocking is that even today, some politicians continue to deny reality. Look at this from the Voice of Wales. This will make you angry. Here is the leader of the Welsh Liberal Democrats, Jane Dodds. Jane has said she will vote to block the inquiry into Pakistani rape gangs in Wales because she doesn't like the term grooming gangs. She says this is due to it being used by the right. So Jane would rather not see justice for these poor children because she doesn't like the terminology. Also, the right wanted to call them what they are, Islamic rape squads. Grooming gangs was used to tone it down. Get every single one of these creations out in the Senate elections May 2026. Now, Voice of Wales isn't exaggerating. Here's the evidence. Watch.
I would caution using the word grooming gangs. That is not used anywhere in Jay's report. She talks about organised networks. And the reason I say that is because grooming gangs has been used and will continue, sadly, to be used by the right in order, I'm afraid, to whip up a sense of outrage and fury, which, of course, there should be. But that should be put into practice. So I won't be supporting the motion for that reason as well. The language has to be really sensitive and carefully used.
and still very few British politicians are prepared to embrace Tommy. Ex-Tory MP Andrew Bridgen wrote, "It was not easy as a serving member of Parliament to stand and speak alongside Tommy Robinson, but it was the right thing to do as he was a brave man speaking the unpalatable truth. With the announcement of the Muslim rape gang inquiry, Tommy has been vindicated, and it's time for the legacy media and establishment to admit what they did to him, but I doubt they will. Tommy is a hero." Dutch political renegade Geert Wilders has declared this week publicly in favour of Tommy, writing in response to Inevitable West, which said the world owes him an apology, agreed. Tommy Robinson is a true hero and a friend. And I'm loving this. Can we have some fun with this, please? Because a guerrilla campaign has been launched to try and make this incredible moment happen. Now, this isn't real, but look at it. Darren Donaldson of the Dan Wootton Outspoken Club made this on Grok. Lefty extremist Carol Vorderman being forced to present Tommy Robinson a Pride of Britain Award at the Daily Mirror's ceremony. This came after a post went viral on X. I urge everyone to nominate Tommy Robinson for a Pride of Britain Award. Let them try and ignore this with hundreds of thousands of votes. I think a Lifetime Achievement Award is fitting for all of the work on exposing grooming gangs. www.prideofbritain.com. And Borny Boy warned, apparently, bro, you need to put Stephen Yaxley Lennon or it won't be recognised, I've heard. Now look, while hell would freeze over before the hard left mirror acknowledged the work of Tommy on this issue, what's clear is that the Overton window is very rapidly shifting. And you agree. Look at the super chat here from Abater X, who says, Jess Phillips, you don't come close to the stature of Tommy Robinson. You laugh at the rape gang victims and take the piss in the house of treachery. I mean Parliament. Or maybe I was right the first time. Yes, you were. These are traitors. They let us all down, and I fully back Tommy Robinson's campaign to expose them one by one. Now, the Superstar Panel. Two YouTube sensations joining us today, Based and Bougie and Stef the Alter Nerd. Now, Based and Bougie, you are unashamedly a Tommy Robinson supporter. That's how you first came to my attention, at least, because you were protesting on his behalf outside of Talk TV during his incarceration. How are you liking the fact that actually he's now just going for Jess Phillips? He's going for Labour. In fact, he's going to say in this interview tonight that he is going to haunt Labour. He is going to become their worst nightmare.
See, this is the Tommy Robinson that we absolutely love. He is the only person in Great Britain right now who is unafraid and unashamed to tell the truth. And to be honest, I am not shocked by his rage. I'm not shocked by the fact that he's going to war with the establishment, because the establishment went to war with him first over what he was initially exposing. And now they are trying to take Tommy Robinson's position by saying that they were the ones who were looking into the grooming case and were trying to do something about it. If he was trying to do something about it, why did you imprison Tommy Robinson? Why did you silence Tommy Robinson? Why did you take down all of his social media accounts? That makes zero to no sense. So I'm all for Tommy Robinson going to war with the establishment. Another thing I want to point out to everybody watching this is that we are entering the dark ages. This is officially the dark ages that we are witnessing in Great Britain, where people who are patriots, okay, are less protected than those who are literally trying to destroy this country from within, okay? Those who are victims are less protected than the actual rapists. Those who are victims of terrorists are actually less protected than the actual terrorists. We are entering the dark ages. The fact that Ian Bill had the nerve to sit in Parliament and actually state that justice is complicated. What is so complicated about the fact that if you've drugged, kidnapped, and raped a child, you should go to jail? There's nothing complicated about that. So I'm so ashamed with Ian Bill, and I don't care who, you know, feels that going for her looks is a low blow, because at the end of the day, her laughing and making a mockery of this grooming scandal is way worse than me saying that she looks like Ian Bill.
Yeah, let's just have a little look at that moment when Jess Phillips was laughing in Parliament this week. It was disgusting.
Not just to get to the truth about past failures, but also to make sure that we make the changes to protect children for the future as well. That includes changes in social services, it includes changes in policing and the police operation that I hope that she would welcome to take action to put perpetrators behind bars, and also the action to...
Stef the Alter Nerd. Where does this woman get off? And then she's sitting around with those Westminster insiders, the liberal lovies at Politics Joe, saying, oh, justice is complicated. This is all Tommy's fault. This is all the fault of Tommy Robinson, Stef the Alter Nerd, according to Jess Phillips.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jess Phillips, our Minister for the Safeguarding and Violence Against Women and Girls, in Parliament, literally laughing and smiling whilst Baroness Casey's report is being discussed in Parliament. This should be her wheelhouse. Regardless if she's on the phone or not, she should be paying 100% attention to what was being discussed during that session in Parliament, and she wasn't. And then she's got the gall to laugh and smile as it's all being discussed. It's absolutely disgusting. It shows to me that she's just been smiling and laughing behind our backs all these years that this has been going on in the first place. And that clip that you showed earlier on when she was on Sly News, oh, absolutely disgusting. She's trying to make out that, you know, we're saying that it's the whole Pakistani and Muslim community that are part of the whole grooming gang situation. But of course, we're not saying that. As the case report showed, we were saying all along, it's the majority that are being caught that are of Pakistani and Muslim origin. And now she knows that us saying that is not racist but fact. In that clip on Sly News, she's trying to move the goalposts by turning round and falsely accusing us of saying that all grooming gangs, monsters are Pakistani and of Muslim origin, and therefore we're still racist. But she's trying to now manipulate the conversation in a different way to try and rubbish the Casey report. Again, this is supposed to be our Minister for the Safeguarding and Violence Against Women and Girls. She
but
can't even
she's
get her
not.
facts straight.
She's not, because the point is, as Raja Maya said on this show yesterday, right? She only cares about dirty votes, and she knows that she is going to be beaten most likely at the next election by an extremist Muslim candidate. She very nearly was because of the sectarian vote at the last election. So she has, as he put it, sold out children for votes. It is disgusting. Now, Based and Bougie, we saw in the digest there, that clip of James Dalrymple on the BBC, I think it's about a decade ago. And listen to how he was treated for now stating facts that have been accepted by the government in the Casey review. Shame on the mainstream media. How can we ever trust them again?
It's disgusting. Not only is it disgusting and it breaks my heart, and not only that, I'm quite young. So when all of this was happening and Tommy Robinson was exposing all of this, I was about maybe 10, 11 years old. So now that I'm older and I have more knowledge of what's happening, I'm absolutely ashamed, and all I want is justice for these young girls. And the fact that you had so many people exposing this for years, for decades, you had people like Tommy Robinson, who basically was the sacrificial lamb for these young girls, and now they're trying to take it up as if they're the ones that were trying to do something and their hands were tied and they couldn't do this, and justice is hard and justice is complicated. It is so disgusting how our government, how our establishment has been so complicit in covering up this grooming scandal. And the reason why they keep declining a national inquiry is because the more and more you listen to people like Tommy Robinson and the documentaries, the more you realize these people were really complicit. These people were probably being paid, allegedly, by these grooming gangs. And now going back to that video where you had, I believe she was Asian, you know, basically shouting at the man saying, no, it's not predominantly Asian people, or sorry, Pakistani people. Facts do not care about feelings. Facts do not care about feelings, because how many years later?
Totally. And
it's
also,
now been exposed.
but the thing is, Steph, as well, it's so intellectually dishonest, right? Because we are a majority white country by a long, long way. So you can basically look at any crime and say, a majority of white people have committed the crimes. But when it comes to the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs, the figures are disproportionately so high for Pakistani Asian men. And if you really dig into the details of the report, which I have, I've read all 197 pages, it becomes very clear that the figures that are out there today are cooked. They can't be trusted. They have been totally, adjusted, manipulated to go with this narrative that it isn't Pakistani Muslim men. So, in fact, it probably is a majority Pakistani Muslim men committing these crimes. But the fact is, even just saying, oh, it's a majority white crime is totally intellectually dishonest because it's all about proportionality.
It's totally disingenuous. What you said completely is right. I know, and I utter every single word there. It kind of goes back to what Jess Phillips said in one of those clips that you played, where she says, cock up instead of conspiracy is more likely. No,
Rubbish.
It's actually
Rubbish.
the other way round. And if anything, I'd say she needs to talk to her boss, Tuti Akir, about that, because he allegedly has experience when it comes to cocks being up and conspiracies, especially when it comes to young Ukrainian men. But ultimately, at the end of the day, going back more seriously here, the national inquiry that they've announced, already I'm distrusting it. Already I sense that it's just going to be treated like a joke. Because there's a large proportion of them that's not even going to be investigated in the first place. Whitehall, the politicians. So already my belief in the establishment to actually really get to the heart of it through their own national inquiry has completely been dashed. It's conspiracy, not a cock-up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are right. And I am just... still laughing at your little dig. And of course, the mainstream media, that's the other thing they don't want to talk about, do they? They don't want to talk about the grinder Ukrainian firebombers. Let's just forget that ever happened. Okay, we're just going to pretend that never happened. Well, I'm not. We will absolutely keep on that story. Breaking today. It is time to finally axe the degenerate and dangerous Notting Hill Carnival, which has resulted in the deaths of far too many Londoners over far too many decades. Enough is enough. Now, of course, London's failed Mayor Sadiq Khan is not going to do that. He is prepared to keep seeing Londoners die, to keep this ludicrous celebration of diversity where people are stabbed in their hundreds every year going. But of course, the big problem is now, and this has been revealed by the British Bashing Corporation of all people, that the future of the carnival is in doubt without urgent funding to the tune of many, many millions from the government. Well, I say hell no to that. And actually, even sensible lefties agree. Paul Embry, for example, one of the few sensible lefties left in the country, said, good. It's a festival of drugs, thuggery, and violence. And can I just prove the point to you, Mr. Khan, when you try and say that this is a great event that celebrates the culture of London? If this was any other community, it would have been axed, finished. In fact, it would have been banned. It would have been made illegal years ago. Let me take you through the real history of the Notting Hill Carnival. Dating back to 1976, where there were major clashes with over 100 police officers injured. What about 1987, when the 23-year-old Michael Augustine Galvin was stabbed to death? 1991, Nicholas John Hanscombe died of a stab wound to the thigh. 2000, 2 people killed. Greg Watson, 21, and Abdul Bati, 28. He was beaten to death in a racist attack. 2004, Lee Serberon, 27-year-old, shot dead with a machine pistol. In 2007, 2 teenagers were shot near the carnival. The next year, rioting with 500 arrests. In 2017, 313 arrests and 12 stabbings. 2019, 354 arrests, 18 stabbings, 37 police officers assaulted. 2018, 373 arrests with 7 stabbings. 2022, 209 arrests, 7 stabbings, but this year, 60 police officers were assaulted. Oh, and by the way, Tiako Nembiard, the rapper T Stretch, was stabbed to death. Now, we actually dug in 2023 with FOI data, which showed 840 recorded offences, including 10 stabbings, 107 assaults on police, 213 thefts, 70 violent incidents, 46 sexual offences, 48 weapon-related offences. And then last year, this was the nadir. This is when we all realised, let's stop the PC bullshit. This carnival has to be shut down for good. 2 deaths. Cher Maximum, 32 years old, stabbed in front of her child, died days later in hospital. And Muzi Imuto, 41, died after being punched and hitting his head. There were also 8 stabbings, with 2 people also critical, 349 arrests, 61 police officers assaulted, including headbutts, kicks, bottles thrown. And by the way, there have now been repeated safety concerns from 2004, 2016, 2017, where the risk of fatal overcrowding has not only just been flagged, it has been compared to Hillsborough. So this festival has to end. It has to end. And today, Susan Hall, who was the Tory who stood against Sadiq Khan in the London mayoral election and actually put up a good fight, part of her pledge was to move Notting Hill Carnival to a safe space like Hyde Park. And she has put it to Sadiq Khan today and said enough is enough. Watch.
So now from Alex, who's normally in Clapham. Alex, what would you like to ask?
I've just come out of Mayor's question time, and he was in a quite a friendly mood today, which is very unusual. And normally he accuses me of all sorts if I say anything against the carnival, but he seemed slightly more amenable to possibly it not going ahead. I don't know. No doubt I'll get some clips out later so you can see. But the simple fact is, if the head of the police are saying it could be a Hillsborough-style crushing event, for God's sake, politicians, listen and take a view about that. As for taxpayers paying more for it, I'm sorry, they already pay £13.5 million for it.
That's a lot of money, isn't it? And you know what? We're fed up of Khan, who despicably is now Sir Sadiq. Sir Sadiq. That's something you'll never hear from me on this show, by the way, because this is a man who actually undermines the entire honours system. And finally, a true, honest Londoner put to him the destruction that he has wrought on our capital city. Watch.
So now from Alex, who's normally in Clapham. Alex, what would you like to ask?
Oh, hi. So I disagree on the nightlife. It's definitely decreased in the last 20 years. There's less clubs than ever before. However, my question is on fare dodging in London. There's more fare dodges than ever before. Every time you go through the tube, there are people tailgating, there are people not paying for their fares. And it's hard-working Londoners who are paying for those fare dodges. The tubes are crowded. The particles in the tube is worse than Delhi. We have the worst air quality in the tube. They're dirty. There's graffiti everywhere. What are you doing about it? It seems like you're doing nothing, but congrats on being knighted.
Well, Alex, hope you feel lighter getting it all out. Let me deal with all 4 issues, if I may. So in terms of nightlife, the first 4 issues, I think, as Howard has said, we understand the challenges this sector faces. As you said, it's been going for 20 years. In the 8 years before I became mayor, there was a 50% reduction in nightclubs in London. And so we managed to stabilise that with new nightclubs opening, and then the pandemic struck. and the cost of doing business, business rates, consumer patterns changed, and so forth, which is why we've set up this independent nightlife task.
Oh my God! He just ignored those litany of problems. You, sir, are a despicable man. You are a disgrace. You have destroyed London, and your Notting Hill Carnival must be axed. Let me bring in my superstar panel, Stef the Alter Nerd, Based and Bougie. Based and Bougie, I'm sorry. Sadiq Khan is now having to run to the government to get more funding for the Notting Hill Carnival. We already pay something like £13.7 million. Just enough. Surely just enough. This has to end.
Well, of course, this is Sadiq Khan's main priority, because Sadiq Khan has been dedicated to turning London into Gotham City. That's what he's been dedicated to, changing this city into just a crime-filled, infested country. But as for Notting Hill Carnival, I think this is the best news I've heard in 2025, that Notting Hill Carnival may be ending. I remember my parents never allowed me to go Notting Hill Carnival, and the first time I went... Good on
them. Good on them.
The first time I went was the last time I went, because me and my sisters almost got attacked by acid 3 times.
What?
So that was the last time Yes. Acid.
What year was that?
This was, I believe, in 2017.
And you were nearly attacked by acid 3 times?
Yes. One of my sister's friend actually got attacked in her arm, so she has this permanent bruise. And what's so ashamed is that I have a lot of Caribbean friends who are actually so ashamed of what Notting Hill Carnival has become. If you look at Notting Hill Carnival in the 60s, it was just a celebration of Caribbean culture. It was a very family-friendly event where people just ate food and people just listened to music. Now it's turned into like a crime festival, and is basically masked as cultural. What the hell is cultural about moving drugs? What the hell is cultural about, stabbing people? What the hell is cultural about throwing acid with crowds of people? It's absolutely disgusting what Notting Hill Carnival has turned into. And the worst part about it is that the Caribbean community are actually the first migrants to come into this country. And when they came into this country, they came here because they wanted to rebuild this country, and they wanted to preserve Western values, which they knew to be important, only to see their generation of children completely destroying the country by the fact that we even are able to capture this many footages of violence. Just goes to show that this is a crime-infested event that needs to end. I'm so sorry. And you guys can call me a coon all you want. I am not trying to get attacked by acid 3 times again.
Hell no. Absolutely not. And Stef the Alter Nerd, I mean, we just know. Imagine if this was a football event. Everyone who attended would be called hooligans and would be banned from entering the capital. It's like there cannot be one rule for a particular group of people and then one rule for another, because this event apparently celebrates culture. I mean, it doesn't. I just returned from Barbados last week, which has, incredibly amazing street culture and these great festivals. I love the Caribbean so much. It is safe. It is totally, totally safe when you're out at those events. So there's no correlation. Actually, you don't even do down the Caribbean people by trying to suggest that the hellhole that the Notting Hill Carnival has become is anything like Caribbean culture, because it's not.
No, and, even insiders from the establishment are turning around and saying that, the Notting Hill Carnival, it really shouldn't be anymore. There was a gentleman called Leroy Logan, a former police superintendent in the UK. He wrote an article in The Guardian about 9 months ago saying that police officers at all ranks policing this event each year do actually believe that it is a crime hotspot. You even have a recent report released back in April of this year by the London Assembly Police Crime Committee agreeing with that assessment as well. Susan Hall, the chairman of that committee, even said that at last year's event, 2 people tragically lost their lives due to violent crime. Now, the lefty morons like Sadiq Khan will continue to say that diversity is a strength. However, I'd like to submit one amendment to their way of thinking, that diversity should be changed to diversity, because people are now literally dying because of it. And Dan, you're right. If this was a football event, And you had football hooligans acting like this, buying, selling drugs, fighting with each other and literally killing each other. This event would have been banned eons ago. Eons ago. We need to look past race, religion and colour of the skin and look at the facts of the situation, right? It's not safe anymore, this festival. Therefore, it should be cancelled. If I was in the government and Sadiq Khan came up to me and said, I want more money, I'd tell him to piss off, you cowbag.
100%. We can't afford to pay all of this money for people to die. And Based and Bougie, I mean, I was away when Sadiq Khan was knighted. How did that make you feel about the honours system and our country? Because to me, it just makes me realise how corrupt our entire establishment is. Because how can you knight a man for failure? He has destroyed this city. And whatever you think of Boris Johnson did an incredible job as Mayor of London. I actually think that was the peak of his political career. I live in London. London was a great place to live under Boris Johnson. It has been destroyed under Sadiq Khan, and yet he's knighted. He's celebrated for the destruction of the United Kingdom's most important city, where you literally cannot walk down the street now with your phone out or you'll be mugged within seconds, and no one cares.
I think Sadiq Khan being knighted really signified to me that we have entered the dark ages. This is the dark ages. This is the beginning of it. Because I cannot believe that our king has knighted someone who initially said he has no idea about the grooming scandal, who has made, the London city so difficult through ULEZ, who has managed to basically increase knife crime, increase phone theft, and has basically turned London into Gotham City. I mean, the guy has done absolutely nothing for the city except destroying it. But this is what happens when you have a country that is obsessed with DEI and diversity being our strength, that we just start getting an Asian man who actually allegedly used to support the jihadi group who committed 9/11, allegedly. There's photos of this. And yet we've knighted him. But yet someone like Tommy Robinson, who has sacrificed his life in the name of keeping children safe, is in jail. This is the dark ages.
It really is. It really is completely and utterly shameful that we now have Sir Sadiq Khan. Completely and utterly shameful. Oh, honestly, I think it was lucky, actually, that I was off when that happened, because I may have spontaneously erupted live on air. Breaking today, scumbag Stephen Fry just lost his national treasure status officially after the Harry Potter narrator became the latest celebrity connected to JK Rowling's book series to turn on the author altogether. He joins a club of horrible people. That includes Eddie Redmayne, that includes Emma Watson, that includes Daniel Radcliffe, that includes Rupert Grint. And he has gone for JK Rowling, who, can we all just remember, is standing up for the rights of women to protect women from sexual assault. That is it. But look at this. Look at this headline in the Mail. Now Stephen Fry turns on JK Rowling. Star who narrated Harry Potter books says the author has been radicalised by TERFs and is a lost cause. Let me take you through his comments, which the Mail reports came after he admitted he used to have dinner regularly with the author and described her views towards the trans community as strange. He made these comments while recording the podcast The Show People and said, she has been radicalised, I fear, and it may be she has been radicalised by TERFs, but also by the vitriol that is thrown at her. It is unhelpful and only hardens her and will continue to harden her, I'm afraid. I'm not saying that she not be called out when she says things that are really cruel, wrong, and mocking. She seems to be a lost cause for us. Now, Stephen Fry recorded audiobooks for all 7 of the Harry Potter series, but has now turned his back on the author, accusing her of mocking LGBT+ people and insisting he supports the trans community. He said, she started to make these peculiar statements and had very strong, difficult views. She seemed to wake up or kick a hornet's nest of transphobia, which has been entirely destructive. I disagree profoundly with her on this subject. I am angry she does not disavow some of the more revolting and truly horrible, destructive, violently destructive things that people say. She does not attack those at all. She says things that are inflammatory and contemptuous, mocking, and add to a terribly distressing time for trans people. She has crowed at the success of legislation in Scotland and elsewhere declaring things about gender. So I am very happy to go on the record and say I am really angry about that. My view about all things of sharp and difficult nature is that it is much more important to be effective than be right. Now, Stephen had not previously spoken about the row and explained that he had in the past got on well with the author. He said, I am sorry because I always liked her company. I found her charming, funny and interesting. And then this thing happened and it completely altered the way she talks and engages with the world now. Okay. F you, Stephen Fry. F you. You actually give all gay men a bad name because what you're saying is you don't give a damn about women who are trying to protect the rights of women because everything is about your woke trans extremism above all else. And the fact that you were actually friends with this woman and she paid you no doubt millions and millions of pounds makes you even more despicable. Let me bring in the superstar panel now. Based and Bougie and Stef the Alter Nerd. Stef, I am just disgusted by Stephen Fry. Any idea that he had some sort of national treasure status, I think, is long gone.
Yeah, well, prepare to be more disgusted and shocked. He has no idea about biological women whatsoever. This is the dude who 15 years ago turned around and said, somehow, that women do not enjoy sex on the proof that women don't go out and seek sexual encounters for their own sake. That this absence proves somehow women's lack of interest in sex. Now, of course, he has a lack of sexual appetite when it comes to women. Fair enough. But that doesn't mean that we have a lack of sexual appetite in men. Just personally, for me, he's just simply not my type. But ultimately, what he's been spouting this leftist ideology for years, longer than I think anyone actually realises. It's just coming to the forefront now because more and more people are talking about it. But yeah, he has no idea about biological women. He has no respect for us whatsoever by spouting off what he's now spouting off against JK Rowling. At the end of the day, he should go back to when he believed in science. Right? Because science doesn't give a shiz about your feelings. It's fact. Women are women, men are men, based on your chromosomes, and that is it. Biological women, biological men. For anyone to turn around like a trans man or a trans woman and say they're fully woman or they're fully men, scientifically is not fact. And there's nothing wrong in saying that whatsoever because that's the reality of things. Now, if he wants to live in cloud cuckoo land, let him, not a problem. But I'll be damned if he believes that he can drag the whole freaking world into it with him.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Based and Bougie, where do you stand on this?
I couldn't agree more with her. I mean, if you want to live in cuckoo land, go ahead and live in cuckoo land, but don't convince us that we need to be cuckoo with you too. And I feel like Hollywood is such a sleazy, nasty, snaky, community or culture where everybody just kind of uses other people to climb to the top. And once they've got what they've wanted, they just kind of turn their backs on them. We've seen it with, I forgot his name, but he's the guy that's now playing the Black Doctor Who. He,
in QT, who's now been sacked because he was so woke.
Exactly. He was in support of JK Rowling until he got his role, and then he realized he had this pressure to support his rainbow community, and then he absolutely turned his back on her. It's absolutely disgusting, this culture in Hollywood. And not only that, but this idea that trans people are being attacked. Dan, have you ever seen a trans person being attacked on the streets? I haven't seen it, but I have seen women being attacked on the streets. This idea that trans people are under attack is a facade. It's not that you guys are under attack. It's just that you guys are weird, okay? You're a man with lipstick, wearing a wig, trying to convince us you're a woman. That is weird, and it's something that we will never accept as normal. So this idea that these people are living in cuckoo land and they're trying to convince us to be cuckoo with them too, is just not going to happen.
No, I know. And the thing is, what's so interesting, Stef, is it's male celebrities who keep coming for JK Rowling. Now, I have a particular issue with Stephen Fry doing it because, of course, he made all the money and he made hay from the Harry Potter days, just like the Harry Potter cast members. But we've seen it recently from Boy George as well, who tried to say that, you know, she was obsessed and was completely relentless. This was in a whole series of posts about this. And he said, you are cruel, JK. You have started to look cruel in pictures. All this obsession is wearing on your expression, which just feels so completely delusional. And the thing that I find so depressing about Boy George doing this, right, is that this was a guy who literally, I think, summed up the fact that trans doesn't need to exist. Like, you can be a gay man and you can still experiment with wearing women's clothes and that type of thing, but it doesn't make you a woman. He was actually an example of what gay people who wanted to experiment with things used to be. He never claimed that he was a woman. But JK completely owned him, by the way, because she responded to him saying, there are many differences between us, George, but some are particularly relevant to this debate. 1, you're a man and I'm a woman. 2, you've been wealthy and famous since your early 20s. I didn't become well known until I was well over 30. I've never been given 15 months for handcuffing a man to a wall and beating him with a chain. That was number 3. 4, I believe in freedom of speech and belief. For more than half of my life, I was a regular, anonymous person. Some of those years were spent in poverty. That's why I understand the importance of single-sex spaces for women who are reliant on state-funded services. That's why I understand why mixed public changing rooms are a problem for women. That's why I have a problem with men identifying into women's rape crisis centres, domestic abuse and homeless shelters that are supposed to be single sex. I don't stand against gender identity ideology because I personally still need those services, but because my life has taught me exactly how vulnerable women are when they don't have the money or influence I have now. You yourself have been convicted of violent assault. The overwhelming number of people who commit crimes of violence are male, just like you. That's why I don't want to see men identifying into women's prison cells or any of the spaces mentioned above. Not all men are violent or predatory, but enough are to make safeguarding necessary. Lastly, and my God, she owned him, didn't she? She owned him. She said, lastly, I am a writer who believes in freedom of speech and belief. As we both know, the safe, fashionable thing in the arts world right now is to do exactly what you're doing. Parrot and snare at the unenlightened plebs who think sex is important and matters. For a man who was once all about non-conformity, George, you couldn't have become more predictably or more tediously conformist. And that was, of course, because Boy George had described her as a bored, rich bully. But I would say, my God, he destroyed her, Steph.
Boy George needs to go in a dark room and think about what he's done and what he said, and then come back out.
Sorry, I mean, she destroyed him.
His brain cells.
She destroyed him. Can't believe that in this conversation, I'm the one getting my pronouns wrong. JK Rowling destroyed Boy George. Can I be very clear about that?
Exactly. She destroyed him. Because this is the thing, right? What's really cruel in this whole situation is taking the rights away and identity away from biological women and biological men, all for the sake of diversity. You see, when you're a trans woman, you should be identified as a trans woman. When you're a trans man, you should be identified as a trans man, not biological woman or man. It's as simple as that. And I find it absolutely hypocritical with what Boy George said against JK Rowling, because he has made an absolute killing over the years of dressing up, like a woman in his band selling records. I remember when they first came out in the 80s, that there was actually ambiguity. People were actually questioning, was he man or was he a woman, right? There was a lot of question and ambiguity around that. And he took advantage of that, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, for years to make money off of women. And then he's got the cheek to turn around years later and be like, do you know what? I think it's all right. And this is my kind of thing of what he's saying here. I think it's all right to take the rights and identity away from biological women and biological men and kind of invade those spaces. It's what's happened all through history, really. Men trying to dominate women in every way, shape or form. Here, we've got the lefties and the men, or trans men, I should really say here, trans women, whatever you want to call them, trying to now completely overpower and take over biological women and our spaces. I say, piss off your cowbags. Not happening. Not happening. If you are a biological female, you can go into a biological female changing room. If you're anything other, go to where you were originally born at first, sex-wise.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, Based and Bougie, fact is, given he is, at one point, someone who was a violent convicted criminal who chained a male escort to his radiator heater, and great that he's turned his life around, right? Like, amazing. I've interviewed Boy George numerous times, and I think it's brilliant when people can turn their life around. But maybe this wasn't the best argument for him to pick with JK Rowling.
Listen, it's the right message, the wrong messenger. That's what it is. With his history, he should have stayed silent. And like, you know, she said he should have just sat in a dark room and thought about what he said. And another thing that annoys me about the way people attack JK Rowling is, where are all the feminists? All the feminists are always banging on about women's rights. Where are they to protect the rights of women? People don't understand that allowing this, you know, just mixing of genders and creating like this even playing field where there is no genders is very, very dangerous. I don't think people are aware because mainstream media never actually discussed this, but the amount of assault that is happening to not only women, but little children due to the trans community going into women's spaces is absolutely disgusting. So I find it so hypocritical that the feminist movement and just the whole Hollywood community are always banging on about women's right and women's empowerment. But when it comes to men not being in women's spaces, there's absolute silence. It's disgusting.
It very much is disgusting. It very much is, but par for the course. By the way, can we take a look at this? I've just been told on our live ticker. So this is going to be like Reform's live ticker, right? Oh, good, because the numbers were going down earlier. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be like Reform UK, where, you know, they put the ticker up on the screen and it goes down. But anyway, I'm showing you this because we are so close. We are so close to 400,000 subscribers. They're so ticked up. Thank God. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, and apparently about 50% of people who watch Outspoken videos are not subscribed, please hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell. It's such an important way to help this channel grow. It's amazing that we're in this place after less than a year of this show. I so value you, so value your support, value the fact that we're now one of the top 100 podcasts in the US. But please, let's get the subscriber number up. Let's try and maybe get to 400,000 by tomorrow. That would be exciting, wouldn't it? So please subscribe, tell your friends. There you go. There's another one. Come on, keep them coming. Thank you so much. We'll give you a little update at the end of the show, see how we're going. But do stand by Based and Bougie and Stef the Alter Nerd, because there's lots of big royal news. Meghan Markle in crisis. This is because People magazine has completely turned on her to back Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Meanwhile, big issues for Prince Harry, big issues over this fact that the godfather of Lilibet is now being investigated for sex assault. So lots going on in the royals. And we're going to be discussing it with Stef the Alter Nerd and Based and Bougie in just 1 minute. So don't go anywhere. Plus, of course, we are announcing today's Greatest Britain and Union Jackass. You can vote still for the Union Jackass in the live chat on YouTube. Make sure you do that now. Lorraine Kelly, Stella Creasy, and who was the third? Oh, Prince Harry. Prince Harry, how could I forget him? So get voting right now in the live chat. But first, something really important to talk to you about: scammers and spammers who are out there to ruin your life. We've all experienced more and more of those spam emails, text messages, and robocalls. Not only are they annoying and time-consuming to deal with, but they usually represent a gross invasion of your private information that can cause vast financial and reputational damage. And how the heck did they get your information in the first place, right? Well, it's likely as a result of data brokers who know everything about you, your health information, your relationship status, your mortgage details, and so much more, and then they sell it for a profit. These data brokers can directly or indirectly expose sensitive information to bad actors, putting you at risk of identity theft. The number of data breaches worldwide rises every year. According to the annual data breach report by the Identity Theft Resource Center, went up by 72% in 2023. Now, this means you and your loved ones are at a constantly increasing risk of data breaches as a growing list of data brokers hold your personal information, which is then sold or published online. What's most shocking? You don't even know that this is happening, but it can have shocking consequences, trust me. Health insurance companies could actually raise your rates based on your online activity. Huge loans have been taken under people's names without them even knowing about it. Scammers have even started to use AI to mimic the voices of friends and families to trick victims into sending them money. These imposter scams rely entirely on the voice data they can find online. Now, while you can ask these data brokers to delete your personal information, the process takes hundreds of hours to do manually and requires repetition. But the good news is I have a solution today. It's one that I use. It's something that I personally endorse. Go to incogni.com. That's incogni.com/outspoken. And guess what? You'll get 60% off an annual plan. What Incogni does, and it's amazing, is reach out to these data brokers on your behalf, request your personal data removal, then handles any objections from their side. The whole process is automated, ensuring that your data stays off the market by conducting repeated removals and taking your data down if it pops up again. This is what makes the annual yearly subscription especially advantageous, especially with 60% off. It's such a simple process. You just create an account, grant Incogni the right to work for you, and they will contact the data brokers on your behalf to request your personal data removal. So go to incogni.com/outspoken and get 60% off an annual plan right now. This could be the most important decision you make. But now, back to the show. Developing today, Meghan Markle is in crisis as Prince Harry's misery grows, as the godfather of Tyler Perry is facing sex assault. The godfather of Lilibet, Princess Lilibet, Tyler Perry, is facing sex assault allegations. And as People magazine, her #1 supporter in the American media, brutally turns on Meghan despite years of trying to bring them on side to back Catherine, the Princess of Wales, with this fascinating cover, Kate's Summer of Strength. There are some major shifts coming, People reports, as Princess Kate privately rebuilds after a year of cancer treatment. She's stepping out with a new purpose and the poise of a queen in waiting. As Stephanie Sidley on X posted, plates breaking, and I would be adding plates breaking in Montecito. My superstar panel are with me now. Royal YouTuber Stef the Alter Nerd and conservative commentator and social media sensation Based and Bougie. So, Stef, this has been one of the worst weeks for Meghan Markle in a long time because we've got all of these crises going on. We've got People magazine turning, and then the interview that she conducted with Emma Grede, which was just awful, by the way, but this was meant to be the big set piece to launch her new product, and it has been a disaster. Look at this from Princess Carparkle. Those dislikes really climbing, and the comment section is hilarious. It's had 88,000 views. I mean, my analysis of the interview, I think, has had over 200,000 views. But the most critical thing, Steph, here, 4,439 likes, but 11,000 dislikes. So what's going on for Meghan Markle? She sacked her whole PR team, but it all just seems to be getting worse yet again.
Yeah, so she sacked her PR team because if the rumours are to be believed, they're running out of money. So they don't have enough money anymore to actually pay everyone that's on the payroll. So they've had to let them go. They're trying to spin it as, oh, we're restructuring, we're taking a new approach based on the apparent success of the birth porn video, this, that, and the other. It's all Megsy spin BS at the end of the day. And that interview that she had with Emma Greed on her podcast Aspire, again, is just another example of that. I mean, the main headline that came out of that whole interview was Megsy turning around and saying, the one thing I think I'd like people to do is just tell the truth. Well, you know what, Megsy? She needs to look in the mirror and tell that to herself, because I'm sure the Markle family would love it if Megsy would finally actually tell the truth about them. I think the royal family would love it if Megsy actually finally told the truth about them. In the same breath, it would expose Megsy, of course, as being the evil what's-it that she really is, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, this is just the continuation of the downfall of Hazza and Megsy, and we're seeing it in real time. It's a slow car crash situation, but hey, Megsy just can't help herself.
She can't. Well, look, before I get you to come in, Based and Bougie, I just want to play you this moment that Steph was just referring to from this Emma Greed podcast, which I find so shocking, because it's like, if we were able, and if the people who worked with you in the royal family were able to tell the truth, that would mean revealing your bullying, that would mean covering up the truth about your birth. I mean, do you really want to go there? But this is what she had to say.
I want to say this to you in the best way, because I wonder if you could rewrite your public narrative from scratch. Is there anything that you would do differently?
Yes, I would ask people to tell the truth.
You're very measured about it. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I'm such a hothead.
Are you? What's your sign?
I'm a Libra. But I know, and it's
Libras.
like, I don't know. I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit, ghetto with it, like a little bit hood. I would just get so angry if I felt like everyone was lying about me all the time. Like, don't you ever feel like just being like, just leave me alone. Like, let me show you. Is there a part of you that ever is just like, just leave me alone?
Peaks and valleys.
Peaks and valleys.
No, I mean, like,
very elegant.
But it's true. Of course, I've gone through those chapters and you do a lot of work. You do a lot of self-work and go, what's the why? It's happening for a reason. And my dear friend Serena, who I'm sure you know.
I love Serena. She's like my girl crush. Talk about successful entrepreneur, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's doing so well. She said to me,
killing. I mean, she's literally, it's amazing that she can have like that type of career and then this type of business.
Based and Bougie, what's your take on this?
The minute I hear people speaking about star signs, I immediately just tune off, because I just
that was such a diversionary technique, wasn't it? It's like, I don't want to talk about this. So what's your sign? Who gives a damn?
It's just like that Hollywood, very fake conversation. Oh, my star sign, are you a Libra? Oh my gosh, this is why I do this, because then they just blame everything on their star signs. Second of all, notice how she asked her, what would you do differently? And she said, I would get everyone to tell the truth. No, he said, what would you do differently? As in, the question was directed at you. And what does she continue to do? She answers the question by blaming everyone else. Meghan Markle is fake. And speaking of telling the truth, when is she finally going to tell the truth that she is not black? As a black woman, I am offended that this person is cosplaying a black person. You are not black, Meghan Markle. Please tell the truth about that.
It's so interesting, Based and Bougie, because in this podcast, she actually yet again tries to go down this narrative that she lost out on parts because of the fact that she had a black mother. And it's like utter bullshit. Her CV listed herself as Caucasian, and she even admitted that, and this was in the early days after she left the royal family, she admitted that she'd never experienced racism whatsoever until she joined the British royal family, she claimed. Well, we know she also didn't suffer any racism in there either. So it feels pretty appalling now that she is trying to rewrite history. Actually, I would argue lie, because she's so desperate to create a victim mentality and say, oh, well, I wasn't getting parts because I was black. It's like, You were listed on your CV as Caucasian. You were being brought up by your white dad.
Tell the truth, Megan. Since we're talking about telling the truth, please tell the truth about your upbringing. Because if you are mixed or black, why did you have Caucasian on your CV? This woman lies too much that she can't even keep up with her lies anymore. It's absolutely insane. Like Meghan Markle, she's a joke. And this is why her and Harry's support is declining, because people are putting two and two together and saying, hold on, you said you was Caucasian and now you're saying you're not getting parts. Second of all, how are you not getting parts in Hollywood? Hollywood is like DEI central. All they're trying to do is cast black people, cast black women. So surely you should be getting parts. But the reason why you wasn't getting parts is because maybe you wasn't that talented as an actor. And that's why you had to do what you had to do by trying to burn the royal family down for some attention, because your acting career wasn't going that well. So since we're talking about telling the truth, tell the truth about the fact that you was not getting any acting opportunities, not because you was black. I mean, she hardly even looks black, but because you wasn't that great of an actor.
Oh my God, you are so right. You are so right. I mean, Steph, why does she keep thinking that we're stupid and that she can tell the Netflix documentary that she suffered no racism before she entered the royal family, but then tell this podcast this week that actually she missed out on loads of jobs because she was black?
Because she can't let go of the victim narrative, which is apparently because H.G. Tudor, who's a YouTuber here on this platform, he's taught me quite a lot behind the scenes about narcissism and, you know, how it could be attributed to Megxit. And he turned around and he told me something that completely just revolutionized the way I think about Megxit, which is this. Megxit relies on being the victim because that suits her alleged narcissistic tendencies. She has to be the victim. People have to feel sorry for her so she can then snare them in and be able to manipulate them to her way of thinking. That's why she's doing it each and every year, because her narcissism gives her this kind of narrow-based view that she can't see anything else but her being a victim. She can't rationalize on anything else other than her being a victim, and that's that.
I know, it's really quite extraordinary. But look, there's a huge amount of crisis this week, though, Steph, engulfing her, because it's not just the failure of this podcast. It's also the fact that People magazine has now shifted its allegiance from her to Catherine. That is going to be devastating. Prince Harry is completely unhappy at the moment. He just looks totally miserable. She's forced him into pimping out the children. What do you think is her strategy here?
Her strategy here, I think, is one or two things. Firstly, to merch out the children in the future. And we're seeing that, as far as I'm concerned, happen in real time, with Prince Hazard now seemingly agreeing to it, as we see more and more videos and audios allegedly of Archie and Lily that she's sharing now on Instagram. The second thing I think that she's betting on is there seems to be, I've noticed, this growing movement online of people just being sick and tired of her, having what I'm seeing being called as Meghan Markle fatigue. And I think Megxit is banking on this fatigue kind of turning into this whole notion of, well, Megxit's going to do what Megxit's going to do, so let's just leave her alone now. We're sick and tired of her. Let's just leave her alone. Let her be in the corner, do what she's doing with her fake as ever brand, this, that, and the other, and leave her to it without, you know, criticizing her, this, that, and the other. And if it gets to that point, then she's got a chance to then manipulate the situation without, you know, any criticism being aimed at her at all, to try and be popular again.
The issue with that, of course, is that then she allows these lies to get picked up, because there are still people like this Emma Grede woman who are prepared to sit there and just go along with her lies. I would argue that potentially, Steph, though, the sex assault allegations versus Tyler Perry are the most difficult for her to deal with, because in the past, and I don't agree with this approach, by the way. I absolutely believe in innocent until proven guilty. But in the past, she has had a zero tolerance approach. So you remember Jessica Mulrooney, literally her best friend, was caught up in some sort of totally innocuous, rubbish Black Lives Matter scandal, sort of claiming that she'd been rude to a black person and that made her racist. And Meghan literally threw the woman under the bus, even though her daughter Ivy was in her bridesmaid. Was one of her bridal party. Was one of her little flower girls there alongside Charlotte, Princess Charlotte. So this is really difficult for Meghan on a whole load of levels. And then some of the allegations contained in this TMZ article are particularly difficult too. So Queer Lips of Truth pointed one out where TMZ reported the most aggressive incident allegedly went down in June 2021, again at Tyler's Atlanta home. Dixon, this is the accuser, was staying in the guest house and wearing only his underwear when he says Tyler came in to give him a goodnight hug. He alleges Tyler yanked down his underwear, groped his butt, and said, relax, and just let it happen, and assured him it wasn't going to hurt. Dixon says he manages to rebuff this advance by changing the subject. Well, as Queer Lips of Truth says, I wonder if Tyler Perry and Prince Harry have had similar encounters, because Steph, as far as I'm aware, Tyler Perry's never come out as gay, and these allegations, I've gone through them all. I've read all of the text messages. This is not looking good for him.
No, it's not looking good for him. However, I'll always maintain innocent until proven guilty.
Absolutely.
When it comes to cases like this. What's really interesting for me is Megxie and the Emma Grede interview when she mentions Tyler Perry, but she doesn't. So, for example, she was happy to name drop Serena Williams in the Emma Grede podcast interview, but not Tyler Perry. She's name dropped Tyler Perry a ton in the past, but recently she's not doing so anymore. So part of the interview that she had with Katie Lee on Confessions of a Female Founder, she turns around to Katie Lee and she explains how her family had just moved to California and that they were staying at Tyler Perry's house. But instead of saying, we were staying at Tyler Perry's house and this is how I met you, Katie Lee, she said, we were staying in our friend's home. So Tyler Perry has now been demoted to just being our friend. To me, it's giving me shades of what you referenced earlier on. She dropped her BFF, Jessica Mulroney, over false allegations of racism during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. And it looks like she's done this again, but now to Tyler Perry. And I wonder if Megxie actually knew that this storm was coming all along, because the last time they saw each other, as you can see on the screen right now, was actually at the Paley Centre for Media when Tyler Perry was being honoured. And it's being argued that Megxie was not sat at the same table as Tyler Perry, and he's supposed to be godfather to Lily. So what the deuce is going on there? But even more interestingly, she wasn't actually on the stage for Tyler Perry's crowning moment. So I think it's been in the works for a while that Megxie has started to be distancing herself from Tyler Perry. And I wonder how much she knew that this storm was coming up.
Well, P. Diner, who is going to be with us very shortly over on Substack, www.outspoken.live, by the way, if you want to sign up for our uncancelled Royal After Show, she has heard exclusively that Meghan Markle is potentially trying to officially scrub Tyler Perry as Lilibet's godfather. But the thing is, Based and Bougie, none of this looks good, does it, for Meghan Markle? Because the problem is, actually, before I get you to come in, Based and Bougie, I've got to play, because I can't stand Tyler Perry. And one of the reasons I can't stand Tyler Perry is he went on Meghan and Harry's Netflix documentary and said that he would not have agreed to become Lilibet's godfather if he had to attend the christening at a Church of England ceremony in the United Kingdom. Now remember, that would have been a Church of England ceremony attended by the head of the Church of England, the late Queen Elizabeth II. The cheek of this guy. The cheek of this guy who seems to be very morally corrupt himself, but looking down on the British royal family because of a host of lies by Meghan Markle. So I'll get you to react, but just watch what he had to say first.
We'll call and we'll chat and we'll talk about silly things. And they were pretty serious on the phone. I go, okay, what's going on? And they said, well, we'd like for you to be Lily's godfather. I go, whoa. I had to take a minute to take that in. And I thought I'd be honored. I'd absolutely be honored. And I got off the phone, took it all in, then I called him back. I go, hold on a second. Does this mean we got to go over there and do all of that in the church with them and figure all that out? Because I don't want to do that. Maybe we can do a little private ceremony here and let that be that. And if you have to do it there, then it's okay.
Oh my God, it makes me so angry, Based and Bougie. And it's like, what, you were looking down on our late, great Queen Elizabeth II, and look at you.
Why are people in Hollywood so up themselves? Like, they actually think they're special, because even if you were to go Tyler Perry, you wouldn't even be close to the royal family. You wouldn't even be anywhere close seated to the royal family, because you are not that special. You probably would have been at the back of the church and the royal family would have been at the front. Who told this guy he was special? Second of all, just the immaturity of that comment. I am so confident in myself and I'm so mature that I could be in a room with someone I don't like and simply don't interact with them. But again, he wouldn't even be allowed to interact with them because he's not special. He would have been at the back of the room. But I think this whole situation would definitely be a testament of Meghan Markle and her character. There's been so many accusations about her and her loyalty to her friendships and her ability to just drop people like that whenever it doesn't suit her brand image. And I feel like this distancing that she's, portraying against Tyler Perry, and her, if she ends up actually dropping Tyler Perry as the godfather, that would definitely solidify the fact that Meghan Markle is a liar, is fake, is a fraud, and is not a true friend to anyone but herself and her brand.
So true. So true. Now, I guess the only counter narrative to that, Stef, is that I think Meghan Markle quite likes the fact that Tyler Perry has a private jet. He's quite helpful to her in a way that Jessica Mulrooney was not.
Yeah. In my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, she asked Tyler Perry to be godfather for Lily because of what he could provide monetarily and everything else in between for her. Like the private jets, like his multitude of homes that he's got scattered across America. But I'm absolutely pissed off at him with what he said there in that clip. How freaking dare he try and dictate decades, centuries, right, of what would you call it now? Like religious acts that the royal family have done time and time and time and time again, right? If you've got such a problem, right, with the religious aspect of a baby's christening, and you're asked, do you want to be godfather to that baby? Well, you turn around and say, no, not for me. You don't freaking turn around and be like, well, I do have a certain demand. You're going to have to change the venue, the religion, and pretty much every single aspect of it. No. Where the frick does he get off saying that in the first place?
I know. And these are the types of people she surrounds herself by. And of course, Tyler Perry has connections to P. Diddy. So we will be watching this very closely. And of course, Stef the Alter Nerd will be covering this on her brilliant royal channel, which I highly recommend you subscribe to on YouTube. Likewise, Based and Bougie, so brilliant to have you both here on the Superstar panel. Actually, can we have a quick look at the ticker? How are we going? How's it? Because we're trying to get close to 400,000. Oh, good work, guys. Good work. We're super close. Thank you. So this is my final call. Please do subscribe if you are watching and you haven't done so yet. Shockingly close to 400,000. Will we get there by tomorrow? We will see. Okay, thank you so much for all of your comments today. By the way, lots of brilliant ones coming in. Mark Crawford writes, Tommy Robinson deserves a knighthood more than most of the people who get awarded them. You Want One says, it is encouraging to see that those who once criticised Tommy Robinson have come to recognise their error, acknowledging that he was the one who consistently spoke the truth. Ray Bell said he'd just left the chat to vote for Stephen Yaxley Lemon for a Lifetime Achievement Award and the Pride of Britain Awards. Go on. Even if it just causes the Daily Mirror a whole load of issues because they're getting thousands of nominees for Stephen Yaxley Lemon, it would be funny, wouldn't it? And on Jess Phillips, Charlene Ulrich says that Jess Phillips should be in prison, same as the rest of them. Anyone gaslighting the public with a lie will silence the truth and demonise those who speak up. Okay, time to reveal today's Greatest Britain and Union Jackass. Now, quick reminder of your nominees. Lorraine Kelly by Loose88H for being the most unlikable, unpleasant woman and her shite television programme where she pretends to like her guests. Stella Creasy, nominated by Big Mama Booth for the patronising snide replies regarding abortion limits and won't allow replies on her posts on X. Coward much. And Prince Harry, nominated by It's Only Me 44, the reason being that Ginger Idiot, aka Prince has been for saying that Ukraine could host the next Victor's Game. Sorry, I probably shouldn't laugh at that, but you do have to sometimes. Okay, relatively close today. In third position, Stella Creasy with 27% of your vote. The runner-up, Prince Harry, with 29% of your vote. But the winner, Lorraine Kelly, with 44% of the vote. And if you want to, you can go and watch on YouTube my video from yesterday explaining why Lorraine Kelly has so offended many people this week with her disgusting death announcement of my good friend Kim Woodburn live on ITV. And today's Greatest Britain, a big congratulations to the brilliant Mayor Tusi of Tusi TV. He was nominated by Darren Donaldson for reaching 1 million subscribers. Whoop whoop, that is such an incredible achievement. Mayor Tusi is absolutely an inspiration to the independent media in the United Kingdom. He's done this right from the start. And let me tell you, when I was launching Outspoken, he could not have been more kind, more generous, and I'm really looking forward to being part of his independent media festival in London later in the summer. So congratulations to you, Maya, and everyone at 2C TV. Okay, we're moving to Substack now for the uncancelled after show. Coming up, the shocking reason Prince Harry has changed his mind and allows his children to be pimped out on social media for commercial reasons has been revealed. It will horrify King Charles. We're going to reveal all with royal YouTube sensation P. Diner. So at this stage, we come off YouTube and Rumble. We move to Substack, www.outspoken.live if you want to sign up. We are back live tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time, midday Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Should we have one last look at that subscriber count? Just a final reminder, get subscribing on YouTube. Click the subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and then you'll be alerted to all of our new episodes. I hope to see you tomorrow, but most importantly, I promise to keep fighting for you.